another side on the rise are Newcastle. They are 5th in the table after a nice pick-up in fortunes for them. If you remember, not so long ago, they went through a 4-game blip where they couldn't win. But now they've won their last 4 in all competitions, beating Aston Villa, Ipswich, Brentford in the League Cup, and most recently as well, Villa was the most recent, but also Leicester. You heard a snippet of Eddie Howe there. Well, he is desperate for that form to continue. Like I say, Cass, they've kind of rediscovered themselves once more.
Yeah.
Newcastle, and the contributions now all over the pitch are coming from Isak and Gordon. And there's just a lot to like right now about Newcastle.
Yeah, they've been superb. I said to you, Nat, I keep saying the same thing. You get their best 11 out, they give anybody a game. I mean, look, John Duran gets sent off in the game against Villa. Mm-hmm. That comes at a huge price because Newcastle got 1-0 up early on. By the end, it's ended up 3-0. I just look at them and I think what we talked about with Manchester United and the lack of energy, and we talked about this with City as well, athleticism in a team, Newcastle got loads of it. You know, their midfield's dynamic. You know, they can get forward. Joe Linton is in there to be an engine room player. Then you have Gordon one side, Isak the other. You know, Murphy can run. He can get down the channels on the right side as well. Harvey Barnes, if need, can come into that team. The wing-backs, decent crossing and also an ability to get down, you know, at the touchline if they need to.
I mean, I've loved seeing Lewis Hall on that left for Newcastle. I thought he's been really, really impactful and combining with Anthony Gordon at times as well. I think they've been really effective. And do you think when you look at how Newcastle are playing right now, what are they? So they're 5th in the table. They've got 29 points. So they are 5 off the top 4 as things stand. Could you see them making a fight of it and maybe challenging for the top 4 come the end of the season?
Well, the top 4's up for grabs. Yeah, I can. Absolutely. If they avoid the injury plague that upsets so many teams, they can get to the top 4 because at their best they're a dangerous side. I've seen some strange performances, a bit lacklustre at times from Newcastle with so much talent. I think Isak, I'm looking at numbers now. I think this in 2024, I think he's got something like 28 goals for club and country. So he's got a lot of goals for Newcastle. And we know how vital he is to them. You know, if you can get Callum Wilson back fit and playing regular again, there's another added goal. You know, because Callum's goal return has always been good at Newcastle. He just misses too many injuries, football matches.
Looking at the stats, as you say, for Alexander Isak, 30 goals he's
30?
been involved in. Yeah, he's the 3rd Newcastle player to reach 30 Premier League goal involvements in a single calendar year after Andy Cole and Alan Shearer. 24 goals and 6 assists.
And is that including Sweden? Yeah.
No, that's just Newcastle.
Oh, just Newcastle. Wow. Then he's got more then. He's got a lot more because Sweden, he's got a good few goals as well. He's a dangerous player. And like I said, there's a few now at Newcastle that clubs will be looking at. I think Eddie has done a fabulous job at Newcastle. He's transformed. This club not so long ago was fighting relegation, always hanging around. There was a real dire feeling around the club and not much, you know, enthusiasm for the football team. It's totally not that at the moment. It's much bigger, much better. So, yeah, I think they can make it. Of course they can.
There is certainly an air of optimism for Newcastle right now, which is in contrast to the team they're facing on Monday night, Manchester United. As we all know, they are at an all-time Premier League low. Whatever happens in this game on Monday, they will head into the new year in the bottom half of the Premier League. 14th they currently find themselves in. And yesterday, Ruben Amorim was speaking to the media ahead of this game, and he has said that he feels his job is already on the line.
Yeah. Do you know what one of the biggest obstacles he's had?
Go on.
Is he can't train his players. There's too much football. There's too many games. So he can't put in the groundwork that needs to be done on the training ground to get these players absolutely spot on.
So, for that reason, surely his job isn't in danger.
No, it's not. Not at the moment, and it shouldn't be. It'd be ludicrous to sack a manager now.
Yeah.
You can't, you know.
Well, you say that. Sporting Lisbon did that with his replacement.
But it's not. That's just bad judgment upstairs. You've got to give loyalty and a bit of faith to someone. You know, Ten Hag got over 2 years.
Yeah.
And he won a couple of competitions in that as well, but there were bright moments. There was a lot of dark days as well. I think the guy probably knows what he wants to do. One thing I neglected was the fact that I knew he couldn't get his team on the training ground and work really hard on them, because you can't. You can't get a game every 3 days and then do all the, we used to call it the money in the bank, where you literally do all the hard work for the season. They can't do that.
So is that why, in a way, we're not seeing an improvement when it comes to defending set pieces?
Well, set pieces, you can, the athleticism of the team is clear. They lack legs all over the pitch. And strangely enough, he's left out the players that you would say Marcus Rashford's quick and Nacho's quick enough and gets around the pitch. But Ahmed's come in and done really well. Mm-hmm. But they need a lot, Manchester United. And I think he probably knows the way he needs to do things, but he's going to need a 2-week period of actually working with the team on a daily basis, because he knows a lot of them can't do what is required for the way he wants to play football at the moment.
He is the first Manchester United manager to lose as many as 5 of his first 10 games in charge of the club in all competitions since Walter Crickmer, you know that name, in January 1932.
Yeah.
It's been a really, really difficult start for him.
I said earlier that Manchester must be the most miserable city in the country because of the way the two teams. And look, these are 2 big football clubs, and they're just a shadow of the former self. And, watching Pep's demise at City has been extraordinary. Also, Manchester United, listen to these, Nat, 18 games, -3 goal difference. How can Man United have a -3 goal difference? They've had 8 losses, 6 wins. No. Yeah. How can they have such a poor return so far this season? This is a club that's got one of the biggest revenues in world football. They overpay for everybody. They pay wages that are beyond the norm to players to keep them at the football club. Luke Shaw, who's been injured, and yes, he's been unfortunate. He's had some bad injuries, but he signed a contract in 23 up until 27. So they've got 2.5 years, and he's hardly kicked a ball. And I understand he's been injured, for long periods, but he seems to not be able to get... It feels like the Phil Jones scenario again, where they couldn't get Phil Jones fit.
Well, another startling stat is the fact they've only scored 21 goals.
Yeah.
Which I think, just looking quickly at this table, I think only 4 other teams have scored fewer in the league. And obviously, no surprise, those teams are all below them.
And I don't want to make one player responsible, because they've made a lot of bad decisions. But remember when I said to you Xerxes, I saw...
Yes.
If you'd have said to me when I first watched him, and it was a few years back, he'd have played for Man United, I would have thought he must have had a real change in his performances, because he's not bad. Is he a Man United player? Nowhere near at the moment. So
he is not the answer. He's not the long-term solution.
Anthony was overpaid for. They've gone down the road of overpaying for players, giving them 2 bigger contracts, and then clubs can't take them off their books. You have to have a line in the sand with regards to wages and transfer fees, which they haven't.
Yeah. Tricky times for Ruben Amorim. He's saying, he's not safe in his role, but you would like to think they'll give him time.
He has to be safe.
He has to be able to bring his own players in.
Exactly.
As well.
And it's going to be maybe a couple in January, and it'll be next summer, the back in. And if it's this time next year and it's dreadful, you could see, well, that's probably likely it's Manchester United. They're probably going to sack. But he's got to have the full season going into the window next summer. He has to have that.
Okay. As we mentioned then, their game against Newcastle on Monday is live on talkSPORT. By the way, when the producer goes away on holiday and we're all like, it's all right, the boss is away. He's listening, like we mentioned. He should be very much in holiday mode. But he messaged me to say, well, Grace, the other half, she'd gone shopping, so I thought I'd just listen in. Time to switch off, Will. He's heading to Vietnam for a nice break. That's what he needs to be doing. But he's been in touch this morning, Cass, to say that it's shocking that you blamed him for saying that Pep won the treble in 2024. No, we stand corrected, of course. That was the previous year. I don't know that Tony Awards really worked, but we'll work on that again. We'll work on that again.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.